and self-organization. Okay, this video here is going to be about consciousness and what consciousness really is. Okay, before I get in, I wanted to address, my viewers. I want you guys to know that I make content for everyone. We all are not on the same level of consciousness or the same level of frequency. We all don't have the same information stored in our subconsciousness, and we all have our different political and we have our different political views and perspectives. So if I make a video and it's not related to you, okay, don't take offense. Just understand that I'm not specifically talking to you. I'm talking to a demographic of people that can relate to what I'm speaking about. Now, if it doesn't relate to you, you can sit there and watch the video. You can go and do your research just for your own, but just understand it's not for you. Now, when we talk about consciousness, the first thing I want to address before we all come in here with our different biases and viewpoints, I want to make sure everybody understand that there is no such thing as titles. What I mean by titles, I mean words. Words are abstract. There are sounds coming out of humans don't really exist. We don't have a name. Okay, there's no word to express our existence, but we come up with these sounds to represent different objects that we want to describe, since they don't have names. You understand? So there is no such thing as titles for anything. Like, there is no sun. Okay, let me make it clear, because in Spanish, sun means soul. Okay, you say soul. There's no sun in Spanish. Okay, in every other language, there's a different word for the word sun. Okay, so I want you guys to understand that there is no title for no words. Okay, so there is no teacher, there is no professor, there is no police officer, there is no president, there is none of that stuff. These are people. There is even no word for people. But let's just go ahead and throw these words out. There are people wearing costumes. Okay? Now that we get that established, okay, so we can get all those biases that you guys have in your mind, so we can clear that up. Okay, so when we're talking about consciousness, we're talking about emotion. Consciousness is not mainly about emotion, but emotion is an impulse that provokes action or change. That's why you see on these different institutions, aka schools of thoughts, they tend to prey on your emotions. Why do they prey on your emotions? Because they know that emotions provoke action. Okay, so these people are aiming to provoke a action from you, because they know that human beings, even though you're not a human being, but human beings, they are hard-headed and they don't want to listen. So the institution is a way to provoke action from a being who's hard-headed. Okay, so let me get in here and get to the point on what I wanted to talk about: the centrality of emotion. A neglected but recently resurgent tradition in psychology and neuroscience emphasizes that affect, emotion, and motivation are central components in all conscious processes, and in fact are crucial for the differences between way conscious and non-conscious being process information. Okay, This is why I made that video on on emotional hygiene. If you guys haven't seen that video, I think I probably took it down. I'm gonna have to put it back up so you guys can see it, because that video was important. But I took it down just for the simple fact that I addressed somebody in the video, and it was for that moment. It wasn't for it to stay up and have a campaign on somebody's character. You understand? So I just wanted to address. So I'm gonna have to put that video back up for you guys to see it. Now, this stuff get deep into the scientists and stuff. I don't want to get too deep. I just want you guys to see a glimpse. This is a good read for you guys to understand and study consciousness. Okay. So we could say that emotions are intentional or potentially intentional states of an organism that lead it to desire or avert some activity of the organism in relation to some object or situation. Emotions are thus thought of as having objects and aims, but with considerable breadth and open-endedness in the classes of objects and aims intended by any particular emotion. So basically, emotion is an agenda. That's all it is. Your body, okay, your mind creates agendas. You know what I'm saying? And that's what emotion is. So when you're hungry, that's your mind setting up the agenda to eat. Okay? When you're angry for whatever reason. That's your mind setting an agenda to solve whatever it is that's upsetting you. Okay? It's your mind reacting on its own. Now let me make it clear. Emotion is perfectly normal. Okay? But it's important that we learn how to control it so we can manifest the things that we want in our lives. Okay? There's gonna be times where you're gonna need these skills. You're gonna be placed in situations that is gonna test you. And if you don't have discipline, okay, you'll run into a lot of walls. I like this example here. Let's talk about this. A simple example will illustrate the difference between inactive and reactive approaches to understanding the workings of emotion. Suppose I hear a noise outside the house. I am in the process of burglarizing, followed by a sudden fear response. In the reactive approach, the incoming signal from the stimulus splits when it reaches the thalamus into a slow path through sensory cortices to imaging and intellectual brain areas, and a fast path directly to the amygdala, which in turn causes the bodily responses we feel as the emotion of fear. Now, they didn't have to go into detail about all that, but basically what he's saying is you're in the process of burglaring a house, okay? Everything's fine, you're doing what you're doing. All of a sudden, you hear a noise outside, and that noise raises an emotion inside of you of fear. Now, what fear does is it stops action, okay? So a lot of you guys out there, you're gonna have different things that's gonna be holding you back, and I encourage you guys to look inward, that develop that understanding to understand what it is that's holding you back in your life right now. Find it, address it. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys what I've been working on. It's a little project that that I think can be really useful, but I'm gonna have to do that in another video because I don't want to make this too long. On the reactive view, emotions are primitive and stupid, but faster than intellectual and perceptual processing. So emotions are like our default understanding, okay? That's our mind working without us critical thinking about anything. That's our mind working without us perceptually understanding, overstanding, understanding, understanding, and outerstanding. That's without us really critical thinking about the situation. The default thought process is called emotions. Okay. Consider another example. Suppose an extremely neurotic, dysfunctional kind of character who obviously poses no physical danger approaches me in a safe environment. Let's say in a crowded lecture hall with an insulting demeanor. On the reactive view, my amygdala will first be caused by this stimulus pattern to begin executing an extreme anger response. Then, after my intellectual capacities determine a second later that the person was neurotic and dysfunctional, posed no real threat, it did not warrant initiating any verbal altercation, this intellectual decision will override and inhibit an amygdala reaction that had already begun. So, let me make let me break it down. So let's say you in you in somewhere safe. Okay, let's say you're at work. Okay, or someone comes in there, they talking to you disrespectful, they arrogant, you know. Immediately in your mind, you thinking, who this person think he is? He think he better than me or something like that, and that might light that fire inside your chest, and you might want to cuss that person out or get upset. But if you really think about it, there's no point in even acknowledging that person because A, that person is no threat to you. B, probably mentally ill. You know, you have to think about those things, before you act. Okay? There's gonna be times where you're gonna meet people that, their consciousness is filled or their subconscious is filled with propaganda. So they're gonna have uh a messed up perspective of the world. So if their minds is messed up, it's nothing you could do about that. All you could do is identify the situation you're in. If you're in danger, react accordingly. If you're not in danger, then there's no need to overreact. So to you intellectuals out there, don't fall into the booby trap of extreme emotional behaviors. Okay, leave that for the uneducated people or the people who want to stay on the lower realm of consciousness. And this is a good read, guys. If you want to check it out, I recommend it. That's all.